My talk is not quite as exciting as the last talk. I don't have anything revolutionary to say, but I do have some new tests that you can use to help your patients in the battle against obesity. Now, we know that it's a worldwide epidemic. You know, back in 2001, I think it was 2001 or 2002, I went back to the Harvard Obesity, can you hear me okay? To the Harvard Obesity Summit, and back there was George Blackburn and Walter Willett, and they were mentioning how, you know, by 2010, we're going to see 1/3 of the U.S. population obese. And, you know, we actually can you hear me now? All right. Is this a good balance? Okay. A little bit back. How are you doing now? Okay. Just talk as normal. Yeah. And at that time, he predicted 2010, and by 2007, we had already hit this data. And now we have, you know, the pediatric population coming in to my office because, you know, our healthiest group of people in the United States, the pediatric population, and they are the ones who are becoming the most rapid ones with obesity, which we don't even call kids obese. We say greater than the 95th percentile overweight. And I think, honestly, we're just putting a Band-Aid because they're obese. The problem is growing. If you have not seen this movie, I definitely recommend it. It's Morgan Spurlock. And he goes from being completely healthy and he goes on a 30-day binge where he eats McDonald's 3 times a day. And he's being followed by 3 different doctors before, during, and after. And you watch what's going on with him. He's also kind of kooky and he's kind of fun. And he goes into schools and you get to see what the children are really eating and what they really think is healthy. Their #1 vegetable is French fries. And it's really kind of a fun thing. But at the end of 30 days, he has something quite miraculous happen to his body. He goes from being completely healthy, able to detoxify, to being completely unhealthy with elevated LFTs, NASH, which is non-alcoholic steatohepatitis. And he has 3 doctors who really weren't all that concerned when he started, alarmed at what's going on with him. So if you haven't seen it, recommend it. And if you haven't seen the census data from United States, if you haven't seen these trends, I just kind of want to quickly run through what goes on in the United States in 1985 over, say, the next 5 years. Now, you know, the states are in white. We don't have any data. So you can see it wasn't much of a concern back in the 1980s, the day of Reaganism and hair bands. And if you can think back that far, Madras plaid was back in, Izod Lacoste. And you can see just a few states were called and they gave data. But look at this. Here's just 5 years, you guys. Pretty amazing, right? All the states now are beginning to get involved. 2/3 of the country by BMI. And, of course, this is a phone call survey. So remember, people are being called and they're asked how tall they are and how much they weigh. And you could probably guess that they were underestimating their weight and overestimating their height, and maybe by BMI, these numbers are slightly skewed, perhaps, maybe. And if someone was really smart, of course, he would have gone to every American household and done their body fat, which would have been even better, which we do in our office. But look at that. I mean, that's amazing. We don't have any other disease process that struck us so fast, so hard. And let me go another 5 years. Okay. Now every state's involved. And, you know, we're going to that dark blue range. And if you've seen this before, you know that we're about to switch colors here. Here we are in 2000. Not good, right? And when I went to a follow-up summit there at Harvard, I'm a little biased because, you know, I kind of worked there as a chemist. They were mentioning that any child born in the year 2000, with the trend that we are currently headed down this path, is not going to outlive the parents. And of course, my child was born, one of my children, in 2000. So unless we do something really radical to stem the tide, this is what's going to happen. And now here we are, adding on more colors. Look at Colorado, kind of hangs out there. And that's because, you know, people there go outdoors in 2006. Okay? Interesting, isn't it? No other disease trend. I don't care what disease you want to bring forth has hit the American public so fast and so hard. So how do we reverse this trend? And this is why I'm here. I'm here to help you with your patients, to give you some suggestions and some new tools, maybe ones that you're not as familiar with that you can use and put in your toolbox and surprise your patients. Say, look, there is something we can do. You see this patient here, this young man that you can see in the red shirt, that's Ross. He's a patient of mine, he's a real patient. And there he's about topping out almost at 400 pounds. And he has just about every single trend that you can imagine biochemically that's not right. The only thing that he's got going for him is that he's still a young man. He's about 28 years old there or so. Very unhealthy, right? And then you see children, and that's kind of one of the newest and probably most shocking type of patient that I have to take care of in my office. Children that you see right there. And you know we don't have to go very far to see these kids. They're at the school when you pick up your other kids. They're wearing cheerleader outfits that no way in my day would we allow any girl to be walking around in an outfit like that, trying out for the team, okay? And what can we do? I mean, it seems rampant, right? But let's say we take Ross for an example. His uncle is a breast surgeon who knows me in the office pretty well, and he said to me, hey, you know, Gloria, we're sitting there in the OR waiting for cases to go and just complaining that the cases weren't going on time, and he said, hey, I heard something about you doing weight loss. I'm like, yeah, I actually got bored and now I'm going to open up a weight loss center. He said, well, you see men. I had to think about it for like 3 seconds. Do I really want to do this to myself again? Okay, all right. I said, sure, I see guys. You know, I got bored in this field. It's not gender specific here. So Ross comes to see me, and he's sitting in my OBGYN office because we hadn't built the center yet with all the pregnant women. And you know what? Some of the lab work looked the same. But I started working on him, and this is what happens. So 4 months later, we're really working on him. I require a fitness evaluation and a dietitian nutrition evaluation, hormonal evaluation, and a very intense biochemical look at what's going on with his metabolism. And we start getting down to the bottom of it, and here he is 4 months later. And you say, well, that's okay. That's pretty good, right? Here's 9 months later. Now we're looking at things like really checking his fine biochemical imbalances, which is one of the things I wanted to bring up for you guys today. Looking at things like insulin resistance and quantifying the actual degree of metabolic syndrome. Detoxification, taking out heavy metals, mercury, lead, cadmium, arsenic, you name it, it's in there. And does it make a difference? Well, look at this. Okay? Sent me this picture. He's on a boat. He's now graduated med school. He's changed his whole life. He actually had a very successful career before. He was in the food industry, the restaurant industry, and he actually had a master's degree in business. He was running 8 restaurants at the time, very successfully for the company, but of course look what it was doing to him. And now, of course, he's graduating from med school and his life is completely different. And he's going to be a patient for life, basically. So how can you do this for your patients? Well, I kind of wanted to propose this model of where we can look at for our patients to treat them in this obesity fight.